my sweet dear magical friends. Welcome to Elevated Astrology, where we will take a look at your upcoming week ahead from the energy mastery perspective. That means that, like my banner says, reality does not happen to us, it happens from us. Oh, good grief, I cannot go into this big long spiel. Go ahead and check out the Patreon, all the descriptions, poke around some of the links and everything. Basically, telekinesis is real, lucid dreaming is real, remote viewing is real. What else do we do? Astral projection is real. These are all real things. I actually cut my teeth on remote viewing when I first started doing tons of readings. And this is the story that I hear basically every legitimate psychic where it just like happened and you're just doing so many readings. And I just did this remote viewing and channeling back to back to back to back for years and got to a point where I would have these repeat customers that would come to me 5 or 6 times in a span of a couple of months asking me to check in on like one person over and over again. Maybe it's like someone they love that's out of state, that's an addict, or maybe like a family member who has like a mental illness and they can't really like be around them. And I would have to tell them like, this is not, this is not good for you. This is not what my ability is for. I just got so burnt out on it. And so, yeah, that's why I'm so very confident when someone doesn't believe that I'm psychic or believe that telekinesis is real. Because when they do, get it, it's kind of changes the game a little bit, doesn't it? So anyway, yeah, so energy mastery perspective, elevated astrology, welcome, willkommen. I am your host, Madam President of the 𝚑𝚊𝚗𝚎𝚢, Natalie, spelled Natallee. We are in the eclipse portal, everybody. Hold on to your little hats. This is going to be really, really fun. And let me just give you this in the very beginning. Okay, so when there's a lunar eclipse and then 2 weeks later there's a solar eclipse, like it is in our case, we had a lunar eclipse yesterday, Sunday the 7th, and then we have a solar eclipse, so a new moon, the week after next week, so September the 21st. When you have that, it's more like something has to end first. It's like a letting go, there's a release, there's a closure. And then there's a beginning in a couple of weeks with a solar eclipse. Sometimes eclipse seasons work in the reverse, where you get a solar eclipse first. You get this, flushing in of something new and different. And then a couple weeks later, there's a lunar eclipse, and then there's a conclusion. So if anyone out there is feeling like, oh, there's just endings and endings and endings, that's not the case because you're a couple weeks out from a brand new solar eclipse in Virgo, which is actually, we're on a new moon in Virgo lunation, which is the black moon, which kicked off at the end of August. So this week ahead for you guys is going to be one of two things. It's going to be mastery in the Pisces area of life, in the Virgo area of life, or it's going to be clearing the decks for that solar eclipse, for that new beginning, and cleaning up the energy leaks associated. What's that expression? It's like you can't move the new furniture in when there's still the old furniture, something like that. This week is going to be the most productive week of the lunation cycle. The week after the full moon, in our case, a lunar eclipse is always the most productive. So look forward to that. And for some of you, it might even be a little bit of both, where you are clearing the decks, completing some release, managing those energy leaks as you are displaying or applying and gaining the mastery that it's going to take you to be able to walk through that new moon solar eclipse portal in a couple of weeks with all of the tools of mastery on your tool belt. I will talk more about this at the end and the closing, but basically what you guys are building towards, like towards the end of this week, is this 𝚑𝚗𝚎𝚗 moment, a very important moment in the cycle for Mercury, because the South Node is ruled by Mercury right now. And we have two signs that are ruled by Mercury, Gemini and Virgo. And then we have the Virgo 𝚑𝚗𝚎𝚗, and then the South Node's in Virgo. And then we have a solar eclipse in Virgo. We had a black moon at the end of August. So it's just a really big deal. It's kind of like a big culmination of late spring, summer, finishing out the summer, coming into the fall energy. And so for some of you, if this is like, and those of you that had to have those great boundaries with your friends, supporting them, loving them, helping them safely by not doing damage to yourself, aren't you so proud of them? Like you are watching your friends graduate in a sense with this lunar eclipse in Pisces, this transcendental, emotional, spiritual, psychic lunar eclipse in Pisces. Remember, my loves, The strength that it takes to break out of the cocoon is the same strength that that little butterfly or the moth needs to be able to fly. And so some of you are watching your friends just like wiggle out of their little cocoons and they're like spreading those wings out and then they're going to be flying before you know it. So what we're getting at the end of this week with the 𝚑𝚕𝚗𝚎, which is going to be a really big, like mega clarity, like a lot of information, it's going to help kind of put together the feelings. It's like confirming or expanding with new details and information something you felt or knew intuitively the weekend before. So this weekend, the 6th and the 7th of September, with the lunar eclipse, feelings are online, psychic ability downloads are online. And then when you guys get to the end of this week with the Mercury 𝚑𝚕𝚗𝚎 Saturday the 13th, that's like you have a lot of information now. Like you can see like the full big picture. And it's because that clarity is coming through. Yes, things coming through during the week, but it's like tangible information or like details or messages or written things or documents or filings or just something of that nature that provides like a lot of clarity. It's like filling in the details of what the lunar eclipse kind of made very clear, deep truths, things being okay. So some of you, let me come back to the beginning of this week. Some of you are entering the week with this lunar eclipse that brought something to the surface that was kind of dark. And if that dark, so if some people, that's like the endings, if it's like managing the energy leaks, getting rid of something that was like dark, you're going to have some more information that's going to help you or those people kind of reconcile with that and figure that out by the end of the week. For other people, it was a confirmation of like, this is what it's going to take to heal. This is what it's going to take for me to feel better about this. I need to take this off my plate. I'm not responsible for these feelings. I'm not responsible for this energy leak. It's like a detox. So for some of you, this was like a detox weekend, a test to the healing that you've been doing actually all along, but you put it on its feet, and you're graduating, and you're wrapping it, the rest of it up this week with those energy leaks. And that in itself is you putting that mastery on its feet. So as you're coming into this week, you should be feeling that weighted blanket of emotional confidence. So let's go ahead and start breaking this down day by day. Monday, I'm calling it on the 8th of September, coming to terms. Okay, like guys, people are either like super excited or frustrated, like on Monday. So moon's going to hit Saturn very like at 10:43 a.m. Pacific time, and that's like coming to terms with something that's like, oh my, this is serious. It's serious. It's super serious. Now that's going to be really comforting. Like I said, you've done something that is like a weighted blanket, you know, security, emotional, spiritual security feeling. So for some of you, it's like you're going to be waking up or starting your day feeling a little bit more confident in what is stabilizing or in what you are stabilizing. Other people might be a little bit fearful or coming to terms with like consequences, responsibilities, that kind of thing. Then the moon goes void of course, 11:36, it enters Aries. Now, for the rest of the day, it's going to be lunar transits. And with the moon in Aries connecting with Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, the moon's also going to do this on Friday as well, but through the Gemini lens. So there's something about Monday that foreshadows for Friday. So however you're feeling Monday, whatever you're coming to terms with, I feel like for some people it's going to be like with the moon and Neptune, clarity, confirmation. For some of you, it's going to be about that darkness, like, oh, I knew they did not have my best interest at heart. Oh, I knew they just wanted this. I knew they were really like that. I knew they really believed this. I knew they really didn't, whatever, whatever. Or it's going to be a confirmation of, I was totally right about that thing. My intuition was completely on point. This is what I want. This is what inspires me. This is real, that kind of thing. So it's going to be very, very one or the other. And like I said, it's going to foreshadow something coming up Friday, which by Friday, you're going to have more information or details or more things organized. Tuesday, the 9th of September, I'm calling it. I have a lot of different titles. I have expansion of the heart, use your focus correctly. I think I'm going to use your focus correctly. The moon is in Aries, and it's going to be kind of important for everyone, like middle to the end of the day, This just feels like inspiring, motivating progress, growth, expansion. By the end of the day, the moon will oppose Mars. So I feel like we're strategizing in the Batcave, and it could be a little bit difficult for some people to fall asleep, either because they're so excited or because they're so aggravated. Like this is going to be like one or the other. Like this Pisces lunar eclipse, people either have so much spiritual and emotional strength and they're entering into that mastery and they're cleaning up the energy leaks, or people like have the nerve to act surprised. They have the nerve to act blindsided. They have the nerve to like some people need a perpetrator to move on. Some people need to be a victim to move on. Some people need to they can't or won't like end things, conclude things elegantly or gracefully. And so like this Pisces energy, like it's really what people are making of it. So like I said, some people are going to be backsliding into things like, you know, unsavory things. So which includes, pettiness and smallness and things like that. But not you. Not you, because you're here and you're going to be as elegant as possible. And so long as you have a good value of yourself and you're not being over generous, it's not going to hurt you being elegant. So I feel like Tuesday, if you just, with that Aries moon, just stay really tuned into your thing or what makes you happy, what makes you excited. Use that focus correctly. I am going to go with that. I'm going to use your focus correctly. Yes, those other things are true, but it's going to be more important for you to just not let distracted people distract you. Wednesday, the 10th of September, I'm calling it assets of unquantifiable value. This is so nice. So the moon's going to hit Chiron, going to go into Taurus, immediately start forming the square to Pluto retrograde. Is the sun going to hit the south node? It's close. Sun and Mercury are going to do their cazimi this whole week. They're kind of like the dross, the facade. It's like a big mental exfoliation happening this week. And so, like by Wednesday, people are like, I am coming to terms. Like maybe Sunday was like an emotional come to terms with something, but then like as the week progresses, it's like more and more information and details or filings or something that people are coming more and more to terms with that it's kind of unavoidable. So Wednesday has this wonderful energy of like immense value. And I feel like people are really excited with that square to Pluto. Pluto is retrograde. And I feel like people are either excited for some kind of makeover or a glow up or a rebrand or whatever the changes are. I feel like they may also involve some kind of aesthetic changes or like tastes or flavors or something like that. But I feel like on Wednesday, there's a spotlight also forming on where you've just been way too hard on yourself, where you've been too critical, where you've internalized projections of other people projecting things onto you that you just like accept as yours, but it's not really even your energy to own. That's another thing with this Pisces lunar eclipse is shedding energies that are not yours to own. They're not your feelings inside, they're their feelings that you're feeling in your body when you really don't have to. That's another thing about me being psychic is like, guys, I respect people's privacy. And, understanding all of that is very important because I'm not going to do any of that unless I'm being paid. It's only when someone's incredibly overwhelming me that I feel like I need to say something so that someone's just not, worrying unnecessarily. I also feel like Wednesday could be like on one hand, like wonderful assets and value and powerful shifts in even something like optics or something. But I feel like we're starting to release something where it could even have to do with like rumination or like whatever the mental programs that have been running in the background that were undermining you, undermining your success, making you doubt yourself, making you like doing something out of duty instead of from the heart space. Whatever was keeping you from, doing or something that's really good for you and, holding on to things longer than you should have or like anything like that. Like super self-critical, super hard on yourself. It's like that's all being like shed Wednesday and going into Thursday. But I feel like Wednesday also has something about like a value or something, something a little bit healing or solutions. Some people will be feeling that like wounds coming up like Wednesday morning, but we're going to lean more on like the healing and solution side of it. Thursday, the 11th of September. Happy birthday, Mom. Mother's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday, Mother. On Thursday, the 11th, we have Mercury conjoining the South Node. This is the release. This is the letting go. Now, listen, this could be letting go for peace. Like I said, with like the rumination or old mentalities or even old ways of communicating, communication styles. Or for some people, and or it could even be something ancient being brought back to life. The sun will also sextile. Oh, that's like Friday. Okay. Well, there's going to be this building aspect of Sun sextile Jupiter on Thursday where it's like guidance, direction. The moon's in Taurus, gorgeous, beautiful energy, going to be dinging up a lot of other planets. So it just looks like a lot of harmony, maybe changing directions, changing, evolving aesthetics. Like I said, there's guidance, maybe there's lessons. If there's lessons, it's lessons in value. Like maybe people had like values that were like out of alignment or something. So it could be something like that this week too. And it's super active on Thursday where there could, so some people, if they're like losing, there's loss, there could be something with the values, the spiritual values out of alignment or something. Friday, the 12th of September, I'm calling it glimpses of the future. So this is nice because we have this Mercury sextiling Jupiter energy. We have the sun in Jupiter. We have the moon in Taurus making a sextile to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Then about 1313 to 1438, the moon is wood, of course. Then the moon goes into Gemini, and then Gemini is going to be making those contacts that the moon in Aries was making on Monday, but from a different perspective, from a different point of view. And remember, this whole lunation cycle, your perspective is the point. Your perspective is the point. So hold on to that this week because it's very, very important. It's very unique. It's very individual. Everyone's an individual, and you are here for a very specific individual reason and purpose to explore and express exactly what that lens is. So something on Friday, there could be picking up from something or more information coming through, but it may have something to do with like Monday energy coming back for in some way. For some people, it might be kind of like shocking. Now, this really depends with Moon hitting Uranus and Gemini retrograde on Friday, the 12th. It really depends. Like that lunar eclipse on Sunday, and then with Saturn moving back into Pisces Monday, the 1st of September, people are either stabilizing the Pisces crises, entering into mastery, graduating, breaking out of their little cocoons, getting ready to fly, or people are like not wanting to deal with it, not wanting to deal with responsibilities or consequences of their actions, and that's triggering the escapism tendency, and that's what's triggering backsliding into I don't know, addictions or bad habits or rumination, bad mental thinking, bad communicating or like something, I don't know, but like Friday. So you can't, it's reality. Like this is reality. Like this is your reality. Everyone's creating their own reality. So it's like, oh my God, what did my brother, my telekinetic brother say about, oh, he just said it. He just said it at Telekinesis Church, something about cold, hard reality is like God talking or something. Like it's basically like what my banner says, like reality is not happening to you, it's happening from you. It's like, oof, people are either really reveling in creating their reality or they are kind of deluding themselves and fooling themselves about what they have done, what they have created. Like I said, some people will need a perpetrator. Some people will need to be the victim to move on. Some people are overly generous and get taken advantage of by those people. Some people are friends with those people and are trying to tell those people, bro, you're being overgenerous. Oh. So it's like a whole it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Let's move on. Now we're into Saturday. Now we're into Saturday the 13th. Mega clarity. Mega, mega, mega clarity. Now we are in the 𝚑𝚕𝚗𝚎. 20 degrees of Virgo. What a long Mercury cycle this was. So this is clarity. For some people, this is like a debut. You're revealing something that you've been consciously working on and working towards. Some people, it's an awareness. For some people, this speaks back to something the end of August. For some people, it's going to foreshadow something that's going to come through after September the 21st, after that solar eclipse in Virgo. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but everyone will have the mega clarity by Saturday the 13th. Even if it's like, okay, so if it's like a problem or something, then it's also going to come with a solution. Like, oh, this is what that thing is that's been undermining me, and I have to like weed it out and I have to get rid of it, or I have to change it. It needs to be triaged or something. But for other people, this can, Mercury 𝚑𝚕𝚗𝚎 days, I always get super obsessed with something. It's like a script idea, or it's telekinesis project, or it's history. I go down some rabbit hole into a history thing. It's like a big fire hose of information. So you might get the missing piece to something like Friday, Saturday. Let's talk about Sunday, the 14th. I'm calling it the Pullman strike of 1894. Guys, get this. So there are some astrological weird little synchronicities that are happening. So the Pullman strike of 1894 was one of the most significant labor conflicts in US history, and it heightened tension between workers, large corporations, and the federal government during the Gilded Age. So the evil George Pullman basically manufactured luxury railroad sleeping cars. He created a town for the workers that worked there, company town, Pullman, Illinois, and they lived in houses owned by Pullman, and then the rent was deducted from their paychecks. But then, after the panic of 1893, Pullman cut the workers' wages by 25%, but he did not lower the rent or the prices of anything in the company town. So they struck. They struck. In May 1894, 3,000 Pullman workers went on strike to protest the wage cuts and the rent policies, and they were supported by the American Railway Union. Basically, by June, July 1894, over 125,000 workers on 29 railroads had joined in solidarity. Interesting. Rail traffic was disrupted, mail delivery was delayed, and the strike threatened the national economy. And then federal involvement. President Grover Cleveland sent federal troops to Chicago. In July 1894, to break the strike, the clashes between the strikers and the troops turned violent. Dozens were killed and hundreds were injured in the riots. There's more. The Pullman strike is seen as a turning point in US labor history. Congress quickly passed legislation making Labor Day a federal holiday in 1894. Last weekend. Last weekend, just days after the strike ended. It's interesting because Chicago is a Pisces, and we're in this Pisces lunar eclipse, and Saturn just retrograded back into Pisces, and we have ice in Chicago, and it's the it's president sending federal troops to Chicago with all of this. There are other weird similarities between the 1890s and Chicago and right now astrologically, which I will not digress getting into. But I'm calling Sunday the Pullman strike of 1894 because we have the moon in Gemini squaring the sun in Virgo, which gives us our closing quarter moon, which is the crisis in consciousness, which means acceptance, acceptance that things are changing, accepting that I am the end of the old way vibes. You know what I'm saying? So, like this Pisces lunar eclipse is the only eclipse that we get in this axis with the North Node being in Pisces. So, it's a big release. So, people can go into their escapism little tendencies and they can go and backslide into whatever they want. It's going to get worse for them like in November, and then it's going to get like mega, mega, mega worse in February 2026 for them. And they can continue that spiral for like another year, and they'll be forced to release even bigger and deeper in the beginning of 2027. Or You can release it and let it go right now. The bad feelings, the negative feelings is what I'm talking about. Because you guys, we let it go now or we let it go when we die because no one can have negative feelings in heaven. Those earthbound spirits, they just didn't let it go. They just didn't let go of anger, hatred, whatever, whatever. So that's why I always say, like, you can just let it go right now. Because you're not, some people think that when you die, you're still thinking and seeing and feeling. And when you develop like your energy mastery, like how we do telekinesis and we move our kinetic consciousness outside the confines of our physical body, and we develop our electromagnetic bodies, so like when I die, when I shed this body, I'm going to be able to be a little poltergeist. I'm going to be able to move things because I'm already proficient in moving my kinetic consciousness. Some people think that when you die, that grace just happens to you, but you have to let it go. You have to let the bad feelings go. You have to let the fear go. It's you that does it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, like, just let it go now. Live your life, do what makes you happy, follow your heart, your passions, validate the extrasensory data that you get outside of the five senses. There's just one sense, there's just one vibration. When it's fast, we call it light. When it's slow, we call it sound. Follow me on TikTok. I post stuff there about more about it. But basically, Sunday, the Pullman strike of 1894, it's like, let it go, move on gracefully, elegantly, peacefully. So, I feel like I was going somewhere else. Oh yeah, okay. So the moon, I also say this because the moon in Gemini is also going to square that Saturn retrograde in Pisces. My colic is so strong. Like, why is it so strong? Okay, so that square, that's more of the reality. And it's not reality that it's your reality. Like it's your cold, hard reality. Reality is constantly giving you feedback of what your internal subconscious state is. Okay, the thoughts you think, the feelings that you feel, it creates your toroidal field and it's generating the simulation frame by frame, like in a movie strip. And that's your reality. So if people are not happy with what the reality they created is, but then they also don't want to do the work to heal or do their shadow work or whatever it is, or move on, they're gonna run and they're gonna run, they're gonna run. They're never gonna run and escape fully because they're gonna take themselves everywhere they run away to. They're not leaving themselves behind ever, which is what is creating the negative reality that they're not happy with. So if people are like holding on and they need you to be the perpetrator, if they need to be the victim, if they can't do it elegantly or respectfully or gratefully, thank you for everything this was, wish you well on your path, goodbye. Like, you know what I'm saying? Then you just be prepared to use your focus correctly and focus on your heart space because us having these vessels and these bodies is a gift. It's a blessing. It's so much fun. You're here to enjoy the embodied experience. There's flavors that you like. There's seasonings that you like. There's things you love to do with your body. All these things like your passion, your excitement, your curiosity, your attraction, that is who you really are. And the more you express that and you are externalizing what is inside, you're creating your beautiful, majestic reality. And you're doing the best thing that you can do for other people by giving them an example for them to do the same. They're going to look at you and be like, wow, they're really enjoying playing basketball. Wow, Michael Jordan playing basketball. That's amazing. I want to enjoy something the way Michael Jordan enjoys playing basketball. And they're going to go do something that they love to do. And that's a lot. That's giving a lot. So be careful not to overgive, not to be over generous, over patient, because it's those same people that are going to take your grace as permission. And then say, and they're just going to ignore all that other stuff that you're trying to get your point across or your asks. They're going to ignore all that, say, oh, I can do this, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? It's got to keep it nice and pure so you can focus. So you can focus. 125,000 in solidarity, Pullman strike. 1894. Oh, mother of pearl. Sunday the 14th, I also forgot to say. So then the moon's going to enter into Cancer as well. So the moon's going to be void from 1546 to 1730 on the 14th on Sunday. And then when the moon enters Cancer, it's going to, okay, for some people, it's going to be emotional inspiration or emotional confusion. And that's honestly, if people should have been prepared for the new by like the end of the first week of June of this year, but they weren't. So it led to this really hard summer for people, and it's just going to get more and more surreal and confusing. If they got to just do what they got to do. So, but us here, we're going to be very emotionally inspired by Sunday evening, especially when the moon enters into the watery sign of Cancer and hits that square to Neptune, which is going to harken back to Friday, which is going to harken back to Monday. So Sunday night, you have the information, the new details, the other side of the story, and the feelings and the intuition online working in overdrive. Last but not least, for your closing, I will talk about that Mercury 𝚑𝚗𝚎𝚗. So Mercury entered the shadow period like at the end of June. The end of June, Mercury was in Leo for a really long time. This is like a full moon for that entire Mercury cycle. July 31st, damn, July 31st is when this cycle started. That was like the new moon for Mercury. When Mercury retrograde conjoined the sun at 9 degrees of Leo, that started the new cycle that we're in right now. And then we're hitting the full moon to that cycle like Saturday. Damn. And then this cycle will not restart until November 20th. Wow. Around the same time as a bunch of other stuff is happening. So yeah, I'm going to say have graceful exits, graceful closings. If you're getting some news, if you're giving some news, whatever it is, be as elegant and as graceful as possible. That's the best thing you're going to be able to do. That's the best thing that you're going to be able to do. Manage the energy leaks and the Pisces crises and the Pisces areas of life. For some of you, as you're getting some mastery going, preparing for more mastery, this is the most productive week of the lunation cycle, and it is a full moon lunar eclipse. So if there are things that are just that you're waiting for that are outside of your control, let it be. Because this is, you don't need to try so hard in eclipse windows. You just be yourself. You just plant your seeds in the heart. Plant seeds in your heart and then just wait for divine timing and synchronicity to let them blossom. It's a very magical lunation. Like I said, if anyone's feeling despondent or anything, this is just endings, clearing the decks for new beginnings coming through September the 21st. Some of you are already excited, so I'm not that concerned, but I'm very excited. It's going to be a wonderful, productive week ahead, and just look forward to using your focus correctly and getting more information and details by the end of the week. And that will help you practice more acceptance. And that will be by the end of the week, you're going to be feeling very relieved. Like you have more information that confirms the intuition, or you have the details, or you have the filings that confirm the inspiration or that support the inspiration if this is more creative for some of you. So it's going to be very balancing by the time you get to the end of the week. And it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Have a wonderful week, my loves, and I will see you guys in the next one.